Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions, and thank you again so much for our time together. I'd like us to go back to some of the words that God Himself spoke to a young King Solomon. And I'd like you to remember that God never changes. Now, there are people that would like to make a separation between Malachi and Matthew as if God had some kind of a personality makeover and He became a nice guy in Matthew and He was a bad guy in Malachi. But God never changes. The Bible is one Bible. It's one revelation of God. God does not change. God spoke to Solomon and said, Solomon, I want you to understand that there are conditions on my promises. Promises go both directions. In chapter 9, he says, verse 4, As for you, if you walk before me with integrity of heart and uprightness as David your father did, and do all that I command and observe my decrees and laws, I will establish your royal throne over Israel forever, as I promised David your father, when I said, you shall never fail to have a son on the throne of Israel. But notice he starts with, if you walk before me with integrity of heart. Now he says it again, verse 6, but if your sons turn away from me and do not observe the commands and decrees I have given them and go off and serve other gods and worship them, then I'll cut off Israel from the land. Now, you and I have to understand in life, God doesn't change. God has made great and many precious promises to us. But there are some conditions on those promises. There are conditions of lifestyle and there are conditions of relationship. Lifestyle would be a life of holiness, and relationship would be your walk with God, and that we don't go off and serve idols, and we don't walk away from God. Our relationship with God is not a one-way street, and there are many Christians today that want to somehow teach that our relationship with God is a one-way street. Everything flows from God, and it doesn't matter what we do, God does the same thing. I'm sorry. That's not God. That's maybe a God that somebody's made up, but that's not Jehovah. God says there's a two-way street in a relationship. There's what I do, and there's what I expect from you. There's what you expect from me, and there's what I expect from you. There are conditions on the promises. Now, brothers and sisters, we have a wonderful God who loves us. He's abounding in love and faithfulness. He's forgiving. He's merciful. God is wonderful, but He also has some expectations of us. Let us not be so quick to say that He has failed. Let us not be so quick to say that He doesn't keep His promises. Maybe let's take a look at our own life and say, am I living a life that God can bless? Am I living the lifestyle and the relationship necessary to receive the promises of God in my life? God's promises come with an if.